Mr. Byron, you want to lead us in prayer, please, sir? Amen. The pledge, Dr. Marks.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. All right. Committee meetings here. Let's do Public Works. Alderman Dore, it's your show.
I'll now open Public Works. Let the record show that a quorum is present. First item is Public Works Director Albert John. What's wrong with that thing?
Good afternoon. Nothing really new to report. We're still dealing with the tractor in the shop, but I talked to them today. They're putting it back together tomorrow. They're starting, so we should have it back by Monday. Mosquito control, we've been spraying a lot. I don't know if you guys have seen our truck, but we're spraying more. We sprayed more in June than we did last year because at the beginning of June we had that wet weather. So we wanted to keep them down. We're spraying the city twice a week. Last night is the first night that we couldn't complete the spray because about 10 o'clock, driver called me and said, starting to sprinkle. I said, shut it down. So he's going back out tonight. We're spraying Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, weather permitting. So, and that's all I have.
If that's it, no other questions? With that, we'll move on. Thank you, Albert.
Thank you.
Next is City Engineer, Mr. Tim Mater,
Thank you, Jeff.
a young man.
I have one action item. You got to me quicker than I was thinking you would.
I see you're going too fast, Jeff.
You all should have received a copy of my engineer's report by email, and separately, you would have received a copy of the bid tabulation, the chart that we usually send along with it to show you what the fluctuation's been in your bid prices over time. And you can take your time and look at that. If you have any questions, let me know. If you look at the legal size bid tabulation, you'll see we have indicated in yellow highlight the low bids for the various materials, aggregate, coal mix, concrete pipe, flowable fill, concrete. Hot mix, we're not taking bids on hot mix lately, but the simple way to do this, the way we've done it in the past, is you, as I've mentioned in my engineer's report, you award contract for these purchases, which, by the way, will be in effect for August 1st through January 31st, in accordance with this bid tabulation. I mentioned on page 2, the very top, remember that these bids were taken by the Acadia Parish Police Jury under a cooperative endeavor agreement the city has with them. We've combined all the supplies and materials that the city needs with all the same that the police jury needs. We take bids one time instead of them taking bids, and you're taking bids separately, and basically compounding the effort it takes to get that done and the cost it takes to get it done. We have them taking bids, and then we pull out of the bids taken the usual materials and supplies that the city has been purchasing over time. So with that in mind, I would ask that you consider taking action to award the contracts according to the bid tabulation.
Step,
Second.
I said I offered with a question, if it's okay, Jeff. So basically, we're not piggybacking off of them, we're just joining in with them, is that what you're saying?
That's a good way to put it. It's sort of like a piggyback, but it's understood that you can do that even before they take bids. A piggyback usually is some other jurisdiction has taken bids, and sometime later, after they have awarded a contract, another municipality comes along and says, we would like to be able to get that service or get that material at your price, the price bid. So it's a lot like that, yeah.
Okay, I'm good, but I offered as read.
do we have a motion? We have a second? Second. Brad has a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
That's the only action item I have. I would be happy to answer questions you have now or between now and next week or next week.
All right. If nothing else for Mr. Mader, then we'll move on to the Street Commissioner, Mr. Wesley Jacob.
Hello, how y'all doing? As usual, everything is in full effect. Grass, we got new mowers that came in through the agreement with the rec. The tractor is still broken. We're waiting on it to come back. The street sweeper has a little tweak. Other than that, trucks, for the most part, everything else is pretty much holding up. It was 2 months. I think it's 2 months. We've been off and on with the tractor on the interstate, so the interstate is starting to get a little out of hand. The new mowers, we actually did an experiment raising the deck all the way up and trying to top it just to make it look presentable. We did that right before the 4th. It worked. I just don't want to do that too much and tear up some stuff. One interesting fact, and I don't have much, we were talking about our dig tickets today, because I know Tim always talks about his dig tickets, the number he has. So we did a little experiment today. This year alone, 7 months, we've dug 9.37 miles of ditches. And it doesn't seem like it's that much, but when you're doing it continuously all the time, it just adds up and adds up. So that's a testament to the crew. Trash, we got to get back on the interstate again. A lot of debris from tires and stuff like that. But other than that, other than being, they're shorthanded, and Wastewater had this project with the smoke detect, and they needed some qualified people, two full-time positions, and I actually had 2 at part-time that I thought deserved to be on full-time, and I didn't have the slots, so I recommended them go over there. So that's a couple of the people that we lost. But then again, it's all about all the departments working together. It's teamwork. If somebody needs somebody it's going to benefit the person, I don't see holding them back, and we just work together. Like I said, from the start, you know, a little over a year and a half ago, this council, department heads working together, it's starting to really feel like a family, to be honest with y'all. So other than that, if y'all have any questions, oh, one more thing. Today, Monday and Tuesday, we done shuffled all the vehicles, equipment, everything that's going to auction, minus the big bucket truck. It couldn't make it a mile down the road without stopping. So everything else, all the fire department vehicles, street, all the vehicles, equipment, everything is in Jennings at the auction right now. So, any questions?
How many slots you said do you have as far as full-time workers? How many? To make, in other words, as of today, if you had to say, well, This number here fills every slot that I have. How many do you have? About, just off the top of your head. 7. How many of them are filled as we speak right now?
7.
7? But you're in need of more manpower, is that on a full-time or part-time basis? Or you take it either way?
Mostly part-time. I was trying to get a full-time operator slot because I don't have, my operator is listed as a laborer. We don't have an actual slot for an operator.
Oh, okay.
And the pay scale on the laborers, we're gonna need an operator for the grappler truck eventually down the line.
Right.
Excavator, skidder, so we'd have to pay them a little bit more, but if I can get 2 full-time and keep the 4 part-time, I think that'll be the difference. So instead of having 13, it'll be 15 total in our department.
Well, get Jeff your wish list, buddy, because Santa Claus is right around the corner. I don't know if he got anything with him, but I know he's right around. Look, he's sitting back there behind you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Wes, on the trucks under the street department, do all of them have the decal Crowley on the side?
90% of them, we just picked up one, thank you, Troy, the police department, the police department just gave us that Dodge. And we have, a year and a half ago, Wastewater donated a truck. We don't have decals on that one. And
What about your truck?
my truck doesn't have the decals.
Yeah, because just a couple of questions that individuals asked me about, wasn't sure who was in front of their property and what may be the city, and just think that'd be helpful to have all the trucks have the decals on them.
I'll tell you the honest truth. The reason why I didn't put them on my truck, because I hide and I try to surprise my guys. And I jump in my personal vehicle. I jump in different vehicles to make sure we're doing what we do. But if I'm in front of a house, 100% of the time I go knock on the door. I don't just pull in front of anybody's house.
What about the magnetic ones, where you ever thought about just getting the magnetic ones? That way, whenever you out, when you're not seeing them around.
Not on that F-150 he drives. Magnet won't stick to aluminum.
Any more questions for him? If not, thank you very much. And we already covered the action item, so if nothing else, I will close.
Thank you, sir. Utility, Alderman Morton, please, sir. Microphone, please. Yes, sir.
We do have a quorum present. Let's see, first up, Tim Crater, wastewater superintendent.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I want to thank Wes for sending the 2 people. Like he was saying, we started a smoke testing that is required by DEQ, and we tell them that we are smoke testing. Before, we didn't have full-time people designated for that. Now we do. Recently, we've smoke tested from Oddfellows Road to I-10 as far east as the city line and as far west as the city line. We've got that section out the way because we've found that there weren't many leaks. Prior, we have found additional leaks that weren't found 5 years ago.
Okay.
They're in the process of getting repaired, starting tomorrow. Most of them are caps that were hit by lawnmowers, broke, tipped over. There are a couple of leaks that were identified by cleanouts that were installed previous that are leaking at the connections. Those are locates were filed today to start the work Monday. We're going to be shifting to the South Crowley area between Standard Mill, if you drew a line to Standard Mill to East Park, south to Elm, east of Eastern. Those residents were notified starting today with cards on the door that will be in that area next week. It's time consuming because I think in that area, I think there are going to be 15 to 20 manholes that they'll have to set up on to cover that entire area. And what we'll do when pretty much the same as the past contractor, we have purchased equipment to pinpoint with GIS equipment specific where the leak is, and everything is touch screen on their handhelds to tell us how big the leak is or how much smoke is there. They can take pictures with the handheld, and all of that's uploaded into the system. And we can pull it up and see where they've been in the system.
What's the protocol, excuse me, what's the protocol if there's a leak on the citizen side? You actually go to the doors and let them know that they have a leak, or?
So what we're going to do once the area is smoke tested and that area is pinpointed, as a leak, we'll get with code enforcement. If we have to go, we'll knock on the door and let them know what we found. We'll ask them to try to open it up, get it repaired. While it's open, get a hold of an inspector to make sure it's properly connected.
Good.
And there's no openings, and we
Sounds good.
cover it up and we move on. In the section up here, we only ran across 2 private leaks, and both were caps. One was broke, and the other one was upside down, wasn't sealed. So we'll take care of that in the morning. That's on our list to do. Wesley talked about 9 miles of ditches they've dug since January. The locates I give you every month is some of that. The month of June, we had 297 of those. We have a guy specifically to do that. Some days we get 2 or 3. He moves on to do something else to help us in our department. But some days he's got 20 or 30 that he has to get done. Some of those entail blocks at a time. So if you pass and see green marks through the road, that's what that is. We have our primary tractor that we purchased 4 years ago. It's at the shop. It's on run it on a dyno machine to see what the issue is. I hadn't heard back from them yet. We had a spare tractor that we were using in its place. It was brought to Southwest Power to be inspected. I think the clutch is gone on it. It's a 92, I think it is. But that tractor has outrun all of our equipment, and we kind of baby our old stuff because I'm kind of, American K, I'm kind of tight. I don't like spending the big dollars. But we'll see how that goes. We pulled a pump at Oddfellows pump station. It was clogged up. Pulled it out, cleared it, inspected it. It's back in service. The Hutchison Avenue project, or I call it a project, the repair and replacement down East Hutchinson going to Eastern is continuing. We ran across a snafu yesterday with a AT&T cable. We've had the locates come out. They located in one section, probably within a 2-foot width down the north side of the median as they were excavating that cable. I guess as they bored, veered off over the hole, and they pulled it yesterday. AT&T was notified. They came and repaired it yesterday. At that time, we contacted USIC, I believe 3 or 4 times before we could get them back there, and they relocated it, and now the line is further toward the median, toward
Where
the
it
middle
should be.
over our sewer. Well, it started on the north side, and there's 2 lines. They were probably 2 foot apart, and now they're probably 5 foot apart. So the law says you have to agree, follow your marks. So we'll follow the marks, and contractor have to be really careful, especially when he gets toward the intersection of Eastern, because it moves to the middle. I did meet with Wes and Brent when we doing excavations on the close to the state property. If they have signal lights like we have at Eastern Avenue, they do not participate in a locate program. You contact them, they send their guy out, and they mark their lines. So when we're going to get into that section, we have LUS fiber, we have state red light wire, we have AT&T. So it's going to be a little monotonous as they cut across that intersection. Other than that, I want to thank my guys for being out, and I'm sure Zach and Wes agree with the same. The heat's not playing, so all we can encourage them is to hydrate.
Yeah, good
But
point.
other
Tim,
than that, that's all I have.
Tim, anybody got any questions for? Okay, all right.
Councilman, I just want to say, from what I've seen so far, y'all's work is really good. The medians that are finished are looking really good. Do you unforeseen any problems? What is an estimated time of completion?
Depends on weather conditions. It's really hard to say, oh, we'll be through next Friday when there's things that can happen. The movement of the thing, you're looking at probably 6 to 8 working days. But understand, if we get a little rain, you risk a lot of the walls coming on you, things like that. There is shoring in there, but it just depends.
Well-
You never know what you get when you get down there.
And Tim, I think it's important to, also, you mentioned the rain, the smoke, there's so many details to everything that these guys do. Street department, recreation, sewer, all of it, but he mentioned the rain and the timetable. He was talking about smoke testing earlier. Realize the reason for the smoke testing is because of the inflow and infiltration into the sewer system, which is the rainwater that gets into the system that's not supposed to be there. When they're working on this line, this sewer line that they're replacing, they plug the sewer main. Now, this sewer main flows is gravity flow for everything from Notre Dame to the railroad tracks, from the east city limit line to Eastern. All of that goes to Eastern and Hutchinson, and then down Hutchinson. It also takes in, when it goes down Hutchinson, the historic district on both sides of Hutchinson. Right. When they're working on that pipe, they have to plug that sewer main above them where they're working. If it just rained, the inflow and infiltration has filled the sewer line, and so it's less time they have to work on the main with the upflow plugged. So the rain makes a difference in more than just the trench caving in and mud, but it's also the flow of the sewer line also. So there's a lot of details in that stuff. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tim, we got a text that they want to know who marks the ground. I text back to them, the utility companies, not the city of Crowley. Am I correct in saying that?
Correct. The Louisiana One Call. Each entity marks their own, unless they're contracted with another company.
Right.
The city marks the sewer system.
Right. Well, you mentioned that you were staying in your lines. I guess they understood. Well, you stayed in the lines that they gave you.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Tim, thank you, buddy. Okay, Mr. Maiden?
Yeah, thank you, Step. I have no action items. Again, you have my report by email earlier today, and I think everyone has a hard copy of it. If after you look it over, you have questions, you're welcome to call me anytime.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience? At this time, we'll go ahead, utility will recess.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, Recreation, Alderman Ashby, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Recreation Committee will convene, and we do have a quorum present. We will start with Recreation Director Zach Duyon.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. First, want to highlight the success of our American Legion baseball team this season. They finished the regular season 15-4. They're actually competing in the state tournament right now as we speak in the semifinal. So we'll have the result of that, and they're playing in New Orleans throughout this week. Excuse me. A little update on MLK Park. We received the benches. We've been waiting on the concrete. We poured The street department had poured one of the sidewalks. We've been in contact with the contractor who is getting the delivery of all the concrete at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. So they'll start pouring that concrete tomorrow, and then throughout that process, we'll be able to place the benches and anchor them. Had a couple electricians go and look at the lighting at the memorial statue at the center of the park. And so we're getting some quotes on that and fixing things up.
Zach, if you don't
Yes, sir.
mind, I want to note that Dr. Proctor and Bishop Proctor have asked to work on that specific park. They live a couple of blocks from it. The efforts that are being done are being helped in a way with funding. Actually, the benches, one of them, Dr. Proctor solicited some of Chief Hebert's funds from his pocket, and he donated one of the benches there. But of course, they donated, and then the NAUW donated one. But she's also solicited some donations for to replace the sidewalks there also. And so that's why that work is being done in that park. She is, so watch out, she's coming for you if she hasn't asked you yet. But she is helping to fund that project over there to get that park done. And then there is another fundraiser that is being planned, and I shared it on my Facebook. I'm gonna print out, trying to remember to print out the flyer for next week to hand it all to you. But one of the residents in the neighborhood of the Huff Power Park, which is on West Hutchinson, is actually putting together a fundraiser to be able to fund some cleaning and upgrades and things at that park. What's that? Northern, I'm sorry, West Northern. Huff Power Park on West Northern. So I certainly want to recognize our citizens who are stepping up and helping to fund some of these upgrades and repairs in some of our neighborhood parks.
Absolutely, thank you all for that. Our all-star teams, we have 3 teams remaining. Our Pinto team is going to be playing in the World Series in Youngsville. Those games begin next Wednesday and Thursday, and then the tournament bracket play will begin on Friday. And also our Mustang and Bronco zone tournaments will be in Scott, same dates, beginning next Wednesday and Thursday, going into the weekend. And this weekend we'll be hosting 2D at both Miller Stadium and our Fizos Field. That's a high school showcase that we'll be hosting those 4 days. And we still have our registration for soccer and flag football open. We've got some signs around town, and we've already got a good bit of people signed up, but looking forward to growing those numbers again. And that's all I have today.
Anybody has any questions? Step.
Zach, I was called to the MLK Park on 7th Street to go examine the woodwork for the pouring of concrete. And I'm kind of concerned about what we call the rounding of the concrete. They're using like a 1/4 inch. It's not even plywood, and depends on which PSI they're using with the concrete. The pressure of that, I think it may work. I'm not sure. I don't know how much resin they plan on putting in the concrete, because I know they're not using the wire, correct?
Not using the what, I'm sorry?
The wire. In other words, concrete, you pour it on the wire to keep it from breaking.
Correct.
Because if you look at from where they poured from the up, I call it the up and down of the one that's there already, it's starting to crack already. I mean, I don't know if that's a Crowley thing or whether
Yeah.
it's civilians or what have, I don't know. But who's ever doing that work, I mean, I specialize in that, so I know what I'm looking at. And it's not gonna last. I mean, because they pouring dirt, and Tim, you know yourself, you gotta pressurize that dirt. You got to, because if not, it's just gonna fall through. I noticed at the corner of, I'm thinking Avenue C and 7th Street, they have man, they have to put at least about a yard of dirt right there just to bring it up. They're gonna have to do more than that. I mean, I hope everything work out, but from looking at it, maybe, get maybe the 30-plus PSI concrete. I'm not sure what, get the one with the resin where, you know, the more resin you put, the quicker it dries out. But it looks nice. It looks real nice, okay? But, you know, I'm concerned about that. And also, one of the residents asked me why, when you get into the, what they call it, the monkey jump, whatever, you know, I'm talking about the little, I call it the playing complex, why the steps were in an incline. I told him, I said, well, there's no, what is that stuff we had talked about, the little rubber mats or what have you?
The mulch.
Yeah, I told them once they do that, it's gonna bring it up. So that's the only two complaints that they had over there at that time. So, like, you get a chance, check it out. And they were correct. If the kids try to climb on the little step type thing, they fall back because it's like this instead of like this. So, but other than that, whoever pouring the concrete, tell them to be careful with that because, I mean, I've seen a lot of, don't get me wrong, I've seen the rounding done with 1/4-inch plywood, but like I say, the resin there was probably extra 35–40% to make sure it was quick. In other words, some people call it quickcrete. You buy it in the stores. I mean, as soon as you put the water in, it starts setting. So I'm just hoping that, but it looks good, and I'm hoping that it don't depreciate before. In other words, don't depreciate before it's appreciated. That's the word I want to use. Thank you, man. Just
Absolutely.
a little FYI.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hey, I hadn't forgot about us getting those alumni tournaments back to Crowley, so
Yes.
we're definitely going to meet, because I think a lot of people heard it on the meeting last week and have called and asked questions, so we need to get that done.
Absolutely.
All right, Zach, thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Looking forward
Appreciate
to
it.
Thank y'all.
Next up, city engineer, Tim Mater.
Yeah, nothing to report on. Action or updates, either one.
Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, well, there's no other action items, no discussion items, so Recreation Committee will recess.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Reggie for zoning and annexation, please, sir.
Thank you. Zoning and Annexation Committee will convene. I do have a quorum with everyone present. I will start with Mr. Tim Mater.
No action items, and the updates are on page 17 and 18 of my report.
Anything else to come before zoning or annexation? I will recess.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Core, Public Safety, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to open the Public Safety Committee, and we have a quorum present. We'll begin with reports, first from Police Chief Troy Hebert.
In the month of June, our officers answered 766 calls. Our burglary's still low. Our shootings have been down. So, I mean, we definitely moving in the right direction. Our calls in general are down. You know, 2 years ago, we were getting over 1,000 calls a month. So again, this year, we still low. We at 766. So, we did notice this becoming a trend where we're really reducing our calls now, which is great because, you know, that just means that people are starting to abide by the laws and different things and obeying them better. Patrol issued 82 traffic citations. Our traffic detail, they issued 899. Now that we're starting to fill up with officers and getting them trained, and we're able to focus in other areas too, now that we're kind of getting back to fully staffed. We're still short, but some of those guys that we hired in January are starting to be turned loose now, so we were able to do a lot more. We had 19 narcotics arrests last month, which is really good because the sheriff's office also had a lot of narcotics arrests for this past month too. So combined, you know, we really are hitting it pretty hard. We issued several search warrants also with problem areas. What else? Let's see. July 19th, we having Splash with a badge at C.W. Edwards Park in South Crowley. It's between the hours of 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're gonna have fun jumps, water slides, food, drinks. We encourage everybody to bring their kids out, come enjoy. Anybody that wants to come by is more than welcome. We encourage the council and members out in the audience, please come by, meet our officers, meet the kids. Looks like it's gonna be a really good day.
Chief, for people who's listening in and don't know the name of the parks, let them know where that one's at, by
Yeah.
Shady Oaks.
Yeah, it's off of Cedar Street, going towards East Park. There are some things we're gonna have to get, like, portalets and stuff, but we're working on getting some of those, and, I'm gonna go there this weekend and see if I can't, make sure and get the water working properly out there. They do have a meter. I just gotta make sure we have some water valves to be able to operate those slides. If not, we may have to get with maybe the fire department or something to help out with that. And, we're gonna use generators to blow up the fun jumps and stuff. So,
What's that date again, sir?
July 19th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We kinda did something similar last year at Martin Luther King Center. We're trying to spread it around to get, you have a lot of kids from that area, that couldn't make the other one, so we're trying to jump around the different parts of the city to give CWL, it's by, Shady Oaks.
On the east end of Cedar.
It's looking good out there. They got stuff cleaned up. It's looking nice, so, also, August 1st, handheld cell phones will be illegal for you to drive a car and operate a handheld cell phone. The law goes into effect August 1st. We will be issuing warrants until January 1st. Warnings till January 1st, and then, after January 1st, it won't be no more warnings.
What? Chief, you got that statute, that state statute?
On it, I can pull it up.
Okay.
But yeah, it really is a needed law, that we having so many wrecks by that. We did reduce our accidents dramatically by stop signs. When we started working stop signs heavy earlier in the year, and it just dropped our accidents tremendously. I think this is gonna do the same thing, today's date, everybody's sitting there texting, talking on the phone, very distracted, and all it takes is a second for the car in front of you to hit the brakes, and you're gonna run into it. So we do expect to see this, as being a good thing, and well, let's see. I'd also like to thank Bishop Proctor and Dr. Proctor for their donation they did to the youth center with the kids. The Masons come up too, and they did it the week prior, plus other ones. I think Alderman Ashby and the mayor, and also Tim Mater had donated some gift cards, so the kids really love those gift cards.
Where you at? We out on, where you going?
No, so the kids really do like that, man. They rush to get it. They like the food and the drinks that we've been getting. So it's all been going really good. You're starting to see that, I put up a couple cameras over the past couple days, and I was there putting one up. I was in the bucket truck, and a little kid come out one of the houses and was like, y'all got skating Monday? So, that was good to hear. At least they recognized me.
And Chief, don't forget Byron,
Yeah, Mr. Barn too. Yeah, there's so many people that are stepping up. It's really, good to see, and, I thank all that have, and still encourage anybody that wants to come by and check it out. It's really cool to see them kids. We had, Jay Malbro come out there too, and, she was right there watching them kids, getting on them if they could. Yeah, so we kind of separated the time. We're, as we go, we try to figure it out what's best. And, you have very little kids, and then you have older kids, so we kind of do the little kids earlier.
5:30 till 7, and then from 7 till 5:30.
Yeah, 5:30 to 7, the little kids skate, and then after that, they take the skates off, they eat, and the older kids come in and skate. The older kids are allowed in the building. We bring them in the playroom with the game room with the pool tables and different things. We let them go in there to keep them separated, but that's really it really ran smooth this week by doing that. So we're gonna try to keep that going like that. But there's so many people to thank. You know, we have a lot of volunteers that come out and just help watch over the kids. So we're very thankful to have that, but we could always use more. But that's pretty much all I have this time. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief? Okay, we'll move on to Fire Chief Louis Ribeiro. Is Chief absent? Mayor?
Yes, he's on vacation.
Okay. Next, we'll move to City Inspector Tony Duhon, who's not present, but he did email his report, which I will read. Animal control, 5 calls for dead animals, 13 calls for cats, 33 calls for dogs, 2 calls for animal bites, 5 calls for traps, and 2 animal cruelty calls. 10 dogs taken in, of which 10 were rehomed and 6 were claimed by the owners. 13 cats taken in with 13 rehomed. 1 citation with 4 different charges. 6 cats in shelter, 19 dogs currently in shelter. Under code enforcement, 18 citations issued for tall grass, 1 for trash and rubbish. 4 houses demoed from blight court hearing located at 1507 West 7th Street. Marcel Thomas, lots 5 and 6 of Block 5, 1727 Short 8th Street, and 1228 West 7th Street, with 151 East Oak Street scheduled for demo on Friday. Flood management, an inspection was performed on a new G&H outdoor store. Permits, new construction, Lloyd Daly duplex located at 1105 East 7th Street, D.R. Horton, 120, 122, 124, 126, 128, and 130 Festival Drive. Anthony Stymus, 511 Southwest Court Circle, Suite B. Lemoyne Disaster Recovery, 418 Jacob Avenue. New commercial, Whataburger, 2516 North Parkinson Avenue. It's about time. And 10 mechanical and 21 electrical and 11 plumbing permits. Under planning and zoning, 1 conditional use application, stormwater management, monthly outfall inspections performed. Contact us if any further information is needed. Respectfully, Tony Duhon. And that will wrap up his report.
Right.
Yes, sir.
It should, we have listed it on Indeed. Of course, the first listing was, description was not correct, and I had them correct it today. And it will be sent to the newspaper that the city of Crowley is currently searching for a code enforcement manager, if you will. Currently, and since I've got into office, every inspection is done by a third party. What I'm looking for is someone to replace Tony to do code enforcement. If we can find someone who can do the inspections also, obviously they'll have to be licensed and have those credentials, then that's a plus, obviously, then we don't have to use the third party. But at minimum, we are advertising for a replacement for Tony. So if you see that in the paper coming up here this week, hopefully this week, or if you hear somebody talking about it, it has been advertised, and we are looking for a, I guess you would say, code enforcement manager. I need to work with the city attorney and see about that title, and if we can change it one way or another. But our city hasn't had a city inspector, so to say, in quite some time. We have a third-party company, building code inspections or something like that, that does all the inspections and all the permitting for the city. So just so you know, we're on the hunt, looking for somebody to take over code enforcement. Yes, sir.
Last person we had do that, what's his name, Mike, I think you had spoke, Terry. Terry was the last person that was.
I've already called him.
And I know he want money. Yeah. But, I mean,
It was my first phone call.
Yeah, but his credentials.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He could stand
Yes,
the
sir.
salary. But the reason why we had done that, because for the same reason, when he left, we was in limbo. We had people wanting to build houses and everything, and everybody wanted that, occupancy license and everything. We didn't have nobody. So we started, and it ain't stopped. But listen, did you try it, listening in the review?
I will send it to LMA also.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm not above stealing somebody else's employee.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no action items or discussion items. However, I would like to mention that Alderman Wildridge and I attended the trial today here at City Court related to complaints expressed to the council by Mrs. Gretchen Young regarding the operation of an auto repair business in a residentially zoned area. The court ruled in favor of the city and issued fines for operating the business without a license and required the owner to remove the junk and debris from the property within 10 days. Also, if that's not done, 60 days suspended jail time would be issued, or was issued, along with fines of $200 for the operating the business without license and $400 or 15 days in jail if the items are not, the junk items are not removed from the property within 10 days. And the cost, if done by the city, will be billed to the property owner. So
Yes.
it's good to know about our code enforcement as far as when it gets to our judicial system.
Yeah, it's refreshing. Listen, it's been a struggle. It's no secret that our codes have not been enforced as they should be in many years, and it's been a struggle to get that ball rolling. It's refreshing knowing that the court system is upholding the code violations of people who refuse to clean up their properties. The days of hoarding things on your property is changing, and it's taken some time, but it's changing. We're going to continue to fight that battle as aggressively as possible. But I'm happy to hear that the court upheld that. So thank you all for attending that, Mr. Byron, you too.
Sure. But she's, as we know, Mrs. Young been here several times, and glad to see something's finally being done. Another thing I want to mention, I had originally planned to include the Healthy Homes program for discussion on today's agenda, as mentioned during last month's meeting. But after talking with the city attorney and hearing feedback from landlords about rental registration, it seems like a better approach might be to update our current ordinance under Chapter 5, Article 3, uninhabitable structures, maintenance, and condemnation, which covers all property types. I'm currently working on some amendments to the ordinance, and we'll provide those to our city attorney to review and hopefully have a draft to present to the committee meeting during August. Step?
I just want to compliment you on Brad called me and we went over it, and, you know, the good thing about it, it shows integrity that we're trying, you know? I think one of the main kickbacks was, a lot of people just don't want big government in their small business, you know? They all, from the landlords that I spoke to, they all had the same, yeah, well, we keep ours clean. I mean, Chuck, you had made the statement, well, what about the landlords that follows the rules, okay? And I explained to them, I said, we're not worried about the ones that follow the rules. We're looking at the ones that don't follow the rules. Now, I'm glad that, you know, there's a recess with it. And now that we all can get together with it, I think, why not have a public hearing? Invite the landlords that, you know, see what I'm saying? Let them be a part of the show. Because I'm pretty sure they got a few things that they want to say, because at the end of the day, there is a Bill of Rights for the renters. Okay? So I just want to compliment you on that.
Well, thank you,
for
Steph, I
including it.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
It's something we, you know, it's just a work in progress. You know, when it comes down to having something finalized, you know, it may be months from now, but we'll get there. The more input we get from the public and those that are directly related to property owners in the city, I think the better. Let's see, with that said, we have Ms. Teresa Richard here, and also we have a card from Mr. Jason Muntz, who would like to address the committee.
Push the green button, please.
Yes,
Thank
state
you.
your
Afternoon,
name and
committee.
your address.
Approximately about a year ago, Mayor and most of the city crew came out to my place and cleaned it up, you know. But at one point, they just come on there with no court order, just bullied me out the way. And I understand that there's a 15-foot mark from the center of the road right away. Well, I had put my trash to that 15-foot mark, but they went, I don't know, 95 feet past the mark into my backyard, brought the stuff forward and picked it up with the claw truck. And everything that they pretty much picked up was my tools, my livelihood tools, my boat. They crushed my fifth wheel camper. It took my show truck to Bruce's to put it in the repair shop to get it fixed. Buried some of my stuff in the fountain that I had in the yard, and left me desolate with zero items to earn a living with. Now, at this point, you know, I'm stuck. You cut my power lines, you yanked off my AC unit off the house, let all the freon in the air, which I've heard is a criminal act, and done under your supervision, of course, Mr. Mayor. Then, you know, there were the publicity photos that you took and everything, and I've come to the understanding that my stuff was supposed to be taken and placed into storage, not picked up and crushed with the claw truck and dropped in a dump truck and then just dumped somewhere for me to go look at later on. I'm trying to figure out how I'm supposed to come up from this, you know. And you come up there with no court order, you bullied me out the way. I've been cleaning up for the past couple months, you know, but I can only throw away so much with one trash can once a week, you know, trash passes. So I'm asking, what am I supposed to do right now? You know? I mean, you pull the AC unit, compressor train unit off the house with all the freon in there, you know what that's gonna cost us to put that back on?
Mr. Mons, just so that people will know, the property you're talking about, if anybody wants to go to Google Maps, you can look at old
Oh, yeah, you can
photos
show
of it.
the old photos,
And it's
yeah.
the very south end of South Avenue M. And at one point, his fifth wheel that he's talking about was on the front page of the newspaper because the
Hang over 2 inches over the road.
street overlay project stopped paving that street because his fifth wheel camper was in the way.
So that's why
And
y'all crushed
so
it?
we did
Y'all tore it up
go
and
through the
crushed
right process, and we did remove all of the, not all of them. We couldn't get to a lot of things in the backyard, but we did remove all of the items from his yard, and we
They
held
removed
on to it
everything from you.
for the proper amount of time.
So what's the deal with all my livelihood tools? All my lawnmowers, my weed eaters, blowers, you know, I don't have any of that. I mean, y'all crushed it up with the claw truck. Y'all supposed to put it off somewhere nice. Mayor, I'm addressing you.
Well, Mr. Muntz, I'll add this. If this was valuable equipment to you.
Well, they had an officer holding me by the shirt down the street. They wouldn't let me go.
If this was valuable equipment to you, why was it piled up with all that
It wasn't.
massive amounts of junk?
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
I could get it in and out, in and out. What the way y'all are describing me, or the way my property was, y'all just took one look at it, so, oh, yeah, we gotta clean it up. No. What about all the fruit trees that you took? You took out my Japanese kumquat tree. You took out my satsuma tree. You took out my orange tree. You took out my plum tree. Yeah. You did.
Mr. Muntz.
The plum tree, the Japanese plum was the first thing that they yanked out the ground when they got there.
Mr. Muntz,
Yes, sir.
this conversation you have with the mayor should be at the mayor's office. This is not something involving the committee.
Well, did y'all voted on it, right?
No, sir. We
Well,
didn't.
then he did it on his own then,
This
right?
your matter is not on the agenda. It's something that's already has occurred. If you have any retribution issues about what happened, then I would suggest you meet with the mayor or the city attorney.
I tried to go talk to him. He won't talk to me.
Well, this is not the forum to discuss your issues, sir.
Well, let it be known that I do not abandon my claim with you, and I will be talking to the state police about some other things and issues. Thank you for your time, City
Yes, sir.
Council. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Ms. Theresa Richard, I think you wanted to speak.
Hi. Good evening. My name's Teresa Richard, and I have obviously been here many times before talking about the ongoing systemic crisis of blight here in the city of Crowley. There are several reasons that blight remains a critical problem here, but the most obvious one is that we are spending over $600,000 a year on code enforcement, and we don't have anyone enforcing the codes. Current ordinances aren't enforced. Citizens' complaints are ignored, and residents are left to deal with consequences, which includes fires, squatters, injuries to our firefighters, displacement of handicapped people, and decay. This crisis mostly affects poor and disabled people who are left living in neighborhoods filled with hazards everywhere they look. I'm sure it's not like your neighborhoods. I'm sure your neighborhoods are nice. But when anyone tries to take a proactive approach to protect poor people or disabled people or minority people who live on the south or the west side of town by introducing ordinances that could actually improve their safety, like a rental registration, it gets buried. The excuse this month, well, I've heard a couple now, but originally it was that the city attorney was still reviewing it. Apparently, now it's been completely quashed. Apparently, protecting the lives of poor people isn't important enough for the city council. Meanwhile, it is absolutely pathetic how fast this city can move on an ordinance when it wants to raise our water rates, increase sewer user fees, add public record costs, or impose greater criminal penalties. When it's about taking money from people, the city moves at lightning speed. So I have to ask, is this community nothing more than an ATM machine for you? When it's about people's safety, when it's about holding predatory landlords accountable, when it's about preventing the next fire, the next little kid dying in a house, the next handicapped person who's displaced, suddenly the city slows down to a snail's pace. And we have months and months to look over these things. We didn't take months and months to look over raising anybody's rates for anything. No. Y'all can make time for all of that. It makes the city's priorities obvious. The the way you treat these things, those priorities don't include the lives of your citizens. Before I say anything else, I want to take a moment to thank those council members who have stayed engaged, who have come to the table and met with residents instead of just ignoring us or sending us nasty emails, spoken with Blight Club, or made an effort to understand what's actually happening, where people are allowed to camp out and squat inside of houses, burn their neighbors' houses. Nothing happens. People see what's going on. We also see the city refusing to use the tools that it already has in place. Abatement of nuisance is not radical, it's not new, it's basic public safety, and yet the city isn't doing it. Even when charges were filed, notice of violations were issued with regards to Ms. Gretchen. It took months before it went through the criminal process, when in fact the abatement could have started months ago. The cars are still there and the hazards still remain. The abatement could have taken place months ago, just like it did for this man that was just here. When the city wants to move, the city can move. But when they don't do anything. $600,000 a year for code enforcement, thrown in the trash because the codes are not being enforced. Rental registration is just one of the tools the city needs to start addressing this crisis. It is not complicated. It is a form with a place for your contact information and a promise that your house is safe. A form. It's not money. Nobody's asking you to pay anything. Of course, you don't mind asking us to pay more, but nobody's asking these landlords to pay anything, and you don't even get an inspection. You just promise. And somehow that takes months. If changes are needed to this ordinance, then bring them here to discuss them in front of people, not behind closed doors and not in the shadows, because from the outside looking in, it's starting to seem like what needs more time is the political decision to do nothing. So I'll ask again, as plainly as I can, what is the holdup in protecting people? Why delay this ordinance? If someone here has a better idea for protecting people from dying in house fires, from predatory landlords, speak up. Don't just kill it. Stop holding up progress. Ignoring problems. When you ignore the problems, you're risking people's lives. By the way, I'm not the problem. I live next door to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. Any other business to come before Mr. Ashby?
Ms. Teresa, before you leave, I want you to know I do take offense to some of the things that you say, because I think we have, let me speak. I gave you your time to speak, didn't I?
I'm not going to sit here
Okay.
and have you chew me out,
no.
sir. I'm going to walk
I've never
out.
chewed
I'm
you
not going
out.
to have you scream at me like the mayor did. You want to be respectful
never-
to me? That's fine.
I'm gonna-
You're offended by something I said? Well, I'm really sorry. This
I'm
is
gonna-
America, and
All I wanted to do was talk to you about something, okay? So even if we did an ordinance and we signed a sheet of paper that said the house was livable, you could walk in, does that mean there's not going to be a fire there tomorrow?
that means that the landlord will have liability, sir. And that means that the people can then sue him with evidence. You have a nice evening.
Well, thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
So,
Okay,
Mr. Corey,
Sure, Mayor.
I want to just, and Brad and I spoke about this too. As you are all well aware, there's no secret about code enforcement and how it's been laxed for many years. Section 5-63 of the City of Crowley Code of Ordinance says, maintenance of property, buildings, and structures. All properties, buildings, and structures, both existing and new, and all parts thereof shall be maintained, you don't have a choice, in a safe and sanitary condition fit for human habitation or the use for which it was intended. All devices, electrical, wiring, plumbing fixtures, material, equipment, and safeguards required in a building or structure when erected, altered, or repaired shall be maintained in good condition and working order. 5-64, unsafe and dilapidated buildings, all exterior walls, roofs, or foundations shall be free from holes, breaks, loose or rotting boards or timber, or any other condition which may admit rain or dampness into the interior, which may cause damage to the building or structure. What was in that renter registration proposal is law already. We have to get better at enforcing the laws that we have on the books. There's only so much that needs to be said publicly out of respect and professionalism, but we are looking for a code enforcement officer to hire to take the place of the gentleman that is in that seat now. If you don't understand what I'm saying, read the newspaper. It'll tell you the description, or look on Indeed, of the job that we're looking to hire for. We have the ordinances. We need to enforce them. We also need to work on some of these ordinances, because I'll tell you, there's been a couple of months this year that we've sent over 100 certified letters for people who do not cut their grass. Now listen, I've been in office for 2.5 years, okay? I can't fix it all in 2.5 years, and I don't know it all to fix it all, so I need some help. We sent over 100 certified letters per month for probably 2 months straight of people, of property owners who do not cut their grass. Many of those were not answered or ignored at the mailbox, in which time, once the post office did their process, that's a whole nother story, and I definitely can't fix that. That takes a while, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks, for us to get the legal process done for the 5-day time clock to start for tall grass. Then we hire a contractor. Contractor charges $100 an hour. That's what they charge us. Do you know what the property owner pays? Now, we have employees that go out and take pictures. We have software expenses. We print paperwork, colored pictures. We have computers we use. We have electricity. We pay salaries, envelopes. The property owner pays, and has always been this way, pays the $10 and some change for the certified letter, and the $100 or $200 or $300, whatever the contractor charges the city. Nothing else. Then if they don't pay that, properties go to to tax sale, and the city of Crowley has never adjudicated property. For years, properties go to tax sale in the city of Crowley. No one pays for those property taxes, and it's put in a pile until next year, and it's asked to be paid for again, goes to tax sale again. There's properties this city has not collected taxes on, I can't tell you in how long, because they've never been adjudicated. They've never gone through the process. I'm telling you, Ms. Richard mentioned that we moved quickly on Jason Montz. That was not quick. That took a couple of years to do, honestly, a couple of years. We try to move as quickly as we can, but there is a law to follow. We have to start looking at our ordinances to attach some fines to these code violations. Some of these property owners live in California and New Mexico and DC. I don't know where they live. I saw one the other day, France. The mailing address was France. Now they got a pile of tires and appliances and tall grass on their property. You think they give a damn about Crowley? No. They pay their little $45, $50 a year in property taxes, and they pay the $400, $500, $600 a year in tall grass cuttings that we charge them, that we're charged for, and they use the city of Crowley as their lawn service. But they don't want to get rid of their property because that's grandma that gave me that property. We need to start attaching fines to these code violations. Those are things that are being worked on. I'm going to tell you, the past 2.5 years, we've been working on finances. We've been working on finances because that was a hot mess too. I'll tell you, I'm not perfect. And ain't one single council member on this council that's perfect. But we all bust our rear ends to do what's right. And I promise you, we're going to get there. We are taking 20 years, 15 years of neglect and just, it's okay. And I'm not blaming nobody for nothing because it don't matter whose fault it was. We have to do what's right moving forward. But we're taking years of neglect and it's okay. And we're trying to change it. And I'll tell you, 2.5 years ain't nothing when you're trying to do things like that. I'll tell you this too. A gentleman told me the other day when I told him that story, he said, oh no, it's going to take you, 3 or 4 terms. I said, hold on a minute here. I ain't dying in this seat. I do not have the urge or the desire to be here for the rest of my life. But I do want to work hard and get things in the right direction, or what I think is in the right direction, and what I'm hopeful you all agree with, so that the next one can take that and continue with it. I promise you, we are working on it, but I promise you, it takes a long time to get these things done. Missy Zora's been texting me for weeks about that darn sidewalk at Martin Luther King Park, and I apologize to her every time I tell her, we're working on it. It just takes time, because that's not your priorities, the things you want to see, and maybe the chief wants to see, maybe Mr. Byron, a step. Those are important to these people. But there are a million other things that need to be done also, and so we have to continue operating with everything. And then, as much as I wish it was as easy as Santa Claus coming, we have to find the money to do it. And finding the money to do it is enforcing the codes that have not been enforced to clean up these neighborhoods so that more people will want to move into our city and live in these neighborhoods in your rent house and your rent house and your rent house, and want to pay more money for those rent houses because they're not next door to the tall grass or the appliances. We have a house, I'm telling you, they probably got 200 appliances in the yard. You see probably 50 of them in the front, but look through the garage. There's probably 200 in the backyard. We're working through the legal process because what's going to happen is the same thing Mr. Montz. We're going to go get them. And they're going to come in here and they're going to complain that we stole their stuff, but we sent the letters and we went through the process. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Please call. Let's talk about it. I'm happy to answer any questions. Come visit and spend some time with us. I'll show you some things. It's a lot more than you think needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Step?
Mayor, and I agree with you 100% right there. But the problem was this. There was nobody here to be held accountable. Every department head came to this council, our committee meeting, except for one. It was always a email list, or this is what I've done.
I'm looking for an employee.
Exactly. Okay. With that being said, no accountability. When they would ask me, and I'm pretty sure all of us in the same boat. The guy wasn't there. What you want me to do? Then the other thing is there was no correspondence. I know for a fact that I was online with 3 constituents, and they ringed it 4 times and still didn't. But we walked in here. He was in there. Okay. Mayor, with all due respect to any and everything that we can do as a council, and your administration, it's a snail walk, but everybody want that 100-yard dash. Okay, I don't care who you are. They want it done tomorrow. If not today, I want it done tomorrow. But listen, now that you have, and I'm gonna tell you, I appreciate the fact that you had the gall to announce it in this open venue, that we are looking for someone. Because right now, man, when you mention code enforcement, people say, oh, that, do y'all have it? Okay? So I think right now, with all due respect to everybody, you know, we're gonna get a 50-50. If I'm not mistaken, I think this LMA gonna be concentrating on that. And I had a chance to talk to Barney about a few things, well, not really to him, but some of the people that does the legwork, and it's all over. Blight is all over, okay? It's all over. So listen, to everybody that's listening, give us a chance. Now that we have someone, hopefully we can hire someone that has the credentials and the credibility to come out and make the job what the job is. Okay, it's just like being a police chief. Okay, if you don't know the law, who are you to say arrest them or let them go? You know, that's the bottom line. So I'm just saying this to everybody. I know, Mayor, we went head up, all of us went head up behind this situation at City Hall. But now that it's being taken care of, you know, that starts from ground one. I think everybody deserves a second chance at this. Because right now, I'm going to tell you, if you just ride around Crowley, you'll see what's happening. And it's always the same thing. It's the code enforcement. I just want to put that out there. Because, Mayor, thank you for that intriguing eulogy that you just made. But it's all good, man.
Thank you, Alderman Martin. I appreciate that. It's the same with you, Mayor. Mr. Tracy Young.
How you going, guys? So I'm not saying I speak for every landlord, but I think it was almost like sticker shock. And by the way, Chuck, you were not rude. I think the microphone's very loud. It is very loud out here. So whoever's controlling the volume, it is very loud out here. However, you were not rude, so I defend you on that. I'm sure all of y'all got my email I sent you. I'm not going over it. My plans were to go over it, but I'm not. Maybe a suggestion is allow some input from landlords. Maybe without violating sunshine law, form a committee, just like you did with the sewer user committee. If the attorney has to get involved, so that way we know what we're doing. And then allow a landlord to be on that committee. That way he can tell you exactly the things we're doing here. If you pick me, fine. If you don't, pick one of these other landlords. Pick somebody that has some properties, that has that wants to put some input in it. Because we feel that when we saw this.
I want to interrupt you for a minute.
Yes, sir.
I had a couple phone calls like we all did. And I kept begging, please, if you have the answers, I'd like for you to be the chairman. Sit down and tell us what needs to be done, because you're right there on the front line. You're the one. I think somebody pulled a false fire alarm with this, because nothing was happening. It was just a discussion item. But the thing is, you guys all know you're right there. You own the property. What needs to be done, please come forward. The ones that talked to me, they didn't want to have nothing to do with coming forward. They said, oh, no, that's for y'all to do. And I said, oh, wait a minute now. We all do this together. The old saying, if you're not part of the solution, guess what? Right. You're part of the problem, or you are the problem. So, and I do respect, because I talk to you all the time, man.
Yes, sir.
And I like you. I think you're an intelligent guy and a good businessman.
I appreciate
just like
it.
the rest of them, you know. I see Dale back there.
Put Dale on the committee. But I think if you just put somebody on a committee.
You got to all step up. You got to all put in a little something. You know, one nail doesn't build a house. You got to all have a lot of them.
And Mr. Young, this was just a suggestion. This by no means was something that was going to go forward, and that's going to be an ordinance. This was something for discussion, just to get something going. Since then, just like I mentioned earlier, you know, after speaking with the city attorney, the problem's not just with rental properties that are residential rental. The problem is vacant properties, including commercial and residential, and those that aren't even habitable. So I want to broaden this whole program to include all property types. And as the mayor indicated, we're going back to our original ordinance that's already law.
Right.
And put some teeth into that. So if you have a property that's not habitable, no electricity, is not habitable, it's unsafe, you will be notified by the city of a problem,
And I don't think any.
regardless of the property
Right.
type.
I will say 99% of the landlords in Crowley appreciate that. There's a few in every bunch of everything. But I think if you would allow some landlords input on a meeting, I really thought when I was part of the sewer user committee, that was the best committee ever that I've ever been on, because it allowed input on future fees, and I'll be honest, and Ms. Teresa talked about it. She talked about how we went up on the sewer user fee.
Overnight.
That was on a committee we talked, and Tim Mader was part of it. We talked about it. And from my concern, I said, my tenants can't afford that, but in talking and looking at the city, the water, sewer books and everything, and seeing how it was losing money literally every month, like thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. And so I got a better understanding that. So now I think if you form a committee without violating sunshine law, and I don't know what that is, it's 2 or more or 3 or whatever.
2 council members is all we can have at one time without an open meeting.
2 council members from that committee, grab a tenant. Find somebody that's renting a house from and saying, hey, we'd like your input on this. Grab a landlord. Yes, sir.
With all due respect, Frank, when you called me, what's the first thing I said? Can I bring this to a landlord for him to review?
Right.
First thing.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Sure. It was no secret. I mean, he was.
A town hall meeting and putting everybody input into this.
I think that's great.
Now we can do that. We can do a town hall meeting, if you will. It's a public meeting. The council wouldn't be talking to make any decisions there. This is just getting information from the public, and of course it's public. But I want. Yes, sir. Go ahead. I say yes, sir. Brad. This isn't my meeting. This is Brad's meeting.
Yeah,
I'm
just
sorry.
state your name for the record.
Todd Hanks. I've got a few rentals.
Sure,
Brad, I
Todd.
know you, Jeff,
Yeah.
Chuck, some of you guys. First of all, let me tell y'all, I know y'all get a lot of complaints. Thank y'all for the hard job you do. Thank you, really, all of you. I'm telling you, this man right here, love him to death. Man, he's a great guy. I've met him once. He's done a good job. Mayor, I've seen him driving a sweeper truck on a holiday in front of a rental that I was fixing up. And I was like, that's the mayor, and it's a holiday. This was several months ago, and I was like, now that's a man who believes in what he's doing right there. So he may have broke it, but you know what? At least he was attempting, and that's okay. Thank you seriously for all you guys. I was just wanted to ask, just for some clarification, and not to steal anything he's trying to say. I was driving home from Dallas today, came straight here when I got back. But I was listening to last month's meeting, and this lady that was talking earlier, she talked last month, evidently, and she mentioned that maybe there had been a fire in one rental back in, what was it, 2011?
Yeah, that was a personal fire. That's a personal thing for her. Yes, sir.
So I'm trying to
she
get
lost
some,
her daughter.
I'm trying to get some perspective here. So in a city that, according to what I heard on that last month's meeting, has maybe half the houses, is that what I heard right? That half the houses in Crowley are rentals? Is that a true statement? So in a city where half of there's got to be a few thousand
of the population.
Okay.
That almost 50% are in rental dwellings.
Okay,
So
I would
how's that
presume, so 50% of Crowley is what, 5,500 people? We're about 11,000?
12,000.
Well, that's,
12,000,
you
so-
look at 2 to 3 per.
So 5,500 to 6,000 people are renting, and she brought up one instance that happened 14 years ago, and like all of a sudden, this is like, oh my God, we got to do something. Oh my God, Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not for anybody dying. I remodel all of my rentals, and I make sure that they're good. I know Tracy does the same, and we landlords, and I'm just a small one compared to Tracy, he's a big dog, but we get a bad rap, like we're just these greedy people. And what they don't realize is how difficult it is for me to go to Miss Evelyn, who rents one of my houses, and her and her daughter live there, and she's an elderly lady, she works for John Pack, and say, hey, I got to raise your rent $85 in one month, just because my insurance went up 80% on this little house. Oh, and then taxes went up too, so your bill just went up $100 from month to month. At the same time that groceries are going up and every single other thing is going up. And it's like, oh, we're just money grub. I told my wife, I agonized over that decision. I agonized. For a while, I actually just took the bullet but at some point I told him, I said, I'm not looking to make any more profit off of it. You know, if I'm making $300 a month on that house, fine. If insurance goes up 85, I'm not going to make her pay me an extra 150, so I make another $70 or $65 on top of that. That's not what I'm looking to do. I want to keep her happy, and I want to make it easy for her, because we landlords, we're human beings too, most of us. I think that you said there might be a few bad apples, but I think the majority of us. And so for perspective, I guess, I'm just wondering, is this a lot of smoke and mirrors over something that is absolutely not so much of a big problem? Like we're trying to fix it because one example of something was brought up, because I don't even know why we'd even need to waste a lot of time forming more committees and do anything. I think that if there's something, I think another thing people forget is that, we're a business here, and we have a lot of competitors if there's that many rentals in the city. And you know what? If my rental doesn't have good air conditioning as much as the next one does, well, then guess what? I'm under pressure to make sure that my product's good, so they'll come rent mine, or else they're going to go over to Tracy's.
Right.
And so, I'm just wanting that clarification. Is this happening a lot? Is there a lot of people that are coming up going like, hey, I'm living in a house without a bathtub or a shower or cold water or hot water? Is that coming up weekly?
I'll tell you that those of you that are in here have no idea what some people live in. Now, I'll tell you that some of them, that's all they can afford.
Yeah.
But there are homes in this city which you can see the tatas running on the ground underneath the floor in some of the rooms.
Yeah.
There are homes in this city people are paying rent for, likely Section 8 homes that the government's paying for also, that probably doesn't have hot and cold water in each lavatory or sink, that doesn't have a stove that's provided, if it's provided, with 4 working burners. It probably only has 1 or 2 that's working. It may not even have a toilet that you can sit on because it may fall through the floor. Those are the homes that we have to get to. And the goal is not to make the good suffer for the bad, obviously.
Amen, yeah.
The goal is to clean up these neighborhoods and these properties and require these property owners who are collecting money for this stuff, because I promise you, as a firefighter, I don't want to throw the police chief into this, but as a police officer, you ask those guys, some of these homes they go into to pick up grandma off the floor or do CPR on grandpa one night. And these homes that are rental properties should not be lived in, but they're collecting money for them. People are collecting money for some of these properties. Not none of you, none of the phone calls any of us got. None of those people have properties that are going to be affected by enforcing this ordinance. That's already in the books, by the way, but we've got to get some funds on it so that it'll have some teeth on it, as they say. But none of you guys have anything to worry about.
Yeah, okay.
Because your properties That's why you're worried about going up on your rent, because you have great properties with great people who live in them, renters who keep up the property. You have good things.
Well, I'm not even, I'll tell you, I'll add this in too, because she mentioned this, the lady that was coming and saying some stuff. She's talking about caring for the poor. You know, Jesus said the poor you're always going to have with you, because some people are just
poor.
I don't know, they're just poor. They weren't raised very well, or they're not very clean. I remember when I used to be the youth pastor many years ago at Northside Assembly, I had a young person who was one of my good students in my youth ministry for years. And became an adult, and he lives over near Lafayette, and he called me over to his house one day, because I'm a builder and I'm a remodeler, and I drive into this nice DSLD type of a neighborhood. All the homes are beautiful, fine, you know. Go in his house, and it was pure squalor. I mean, him and his wife, there was trash all over the floor, near the recliner, and cans, and there was dog poop, and there was cat poop, and there was trash. The Bible says a lazy man will put his hand in the dish, and then he won't even lift it up to his mouth. The trash can was right around the wall, and he wasn't even throwing that stuff away, but on the outside everything looked good. And you know what? As a property owner, I don't care what he's doing inside of his house. That's his choice. The outside is what affects all our values.
Everybody next door, across
And
the street.
if Susie over here or Joe over here is a hoarder or something of that nature, and they're poorer, then all government inclusion and intrusion and getting the tentacles in, all it ever does is increase the prices. I'm a builder. I know this, Brad. I know you know this too. Every time the government gets involved in building in a deeper, stronger way, our prices all go up, and they all scream out, "We need affordable housing for the poor." And then it's like, we're going to give you this regulation and this one and this one and this one, and this one's going to cost this much. Oh, and those little $3 breakers you used to get, well, now we're mandating these new kind. They're going to cost $60 a piece. And it's just a never-ending cycle. We have to keep that in mind. That, and I'm not saying that we don't need, I think there's a way that this can be handled without having some registration and fees and all that, where we could literally, maybe that the tenant is able to come to the city and say, hey, this house I'm living in is whatever. And it can be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. The thing that we're all worried about is just that, like with everything else, it always starts out good with government, and then it turns into something monstrous.
You know, I see the sewer, Tim over there scratching his ear when you said government regulations. And we were talking about sewer user fees and the expense of the sewer department. And we have a smoke testing team out there now, and we're doing repairs and maintenance and upgrades, more upgrades because of government regulations, unfunded regulations.
I interrupted him. I didn't mean.
But I know what you're talking about. Thank you.
I think, Step, you had something?
Regulations. Ain't nobody has more scrutiny than me. We build what you call West Crowley subdivision, Bobby Smith 1 and 2. I'm the one that goes around to the state. I go to the city council meetings and prepare this, that, and the other. I had to step off this council when those were built. I don't have any interest in the ones over here in Crowley. Okay, I want to make that clear to everybody. I do not have any interest. Now, other places, I do. Okay, but listen, the main thing that the government tells us to do is that everybody gets, before they move in, here you go, what is this? That's your renter's bills of rights. If you don't follow this, that's on you. Okay? You just made a statement that's 100% correct. Until we get the tenants to quit worrying about the landlord kicking them out or what have you, because there's a law against that. Okay? There's no retaliation for someone telling them, hey man, every time I turn the light on, sparks fly. Okay? But listen, what this council has to do, and all the citizens, I know this is long spent, but let's face it, the good is paying a price that the bad is achieving from. Okay? It is what it is. We know who's the good landlords in this town, and we know who's the bad. That's cut all the mustard, you know, we're gonna have a salad with no mustard on this one, okay? Until we come up, that's why me and Brad, when we talk, get the landlords involved in it. Say what you got to say. Let's put it all together. In other words, we all cooking with the gumbo. Let's cook the gumbo so everybody eats. But right now, these houses over there, we on the hook for 35 years. And I'm gonna tell you right now, some of them houses look like they've been there for 35 years. So right now, the scrutiny that we going through with all these regulations and everything, the law already provides for that. It just takes the person that's inside any unit, especially, Mayor, you mentioned Section 8. You don't play with Section 8 money, okay? But when you got, and I'm not saying this around here, but there's been places that I've went to do inspections, landlord told me straight up, don't worry about it, we got you. No, you ain't got me, okay? My job is through federal authority. When I go do inspections, that's what I'm going, that's the rules I'm going under. I don't want to hear nothing about, I'm just using the city, reign governmental, this is how we do it. No, this is how we do it. So right now, we can go around a year and a day with this, but let's get together, let's have a town hall meeting, let everybody come put their 2 cents in, eventually we're gonna get $1, and everybody get happy. But if you're not here to tell your story, guess what? Nobody knows your story. I just told y'all something, be honest with you, I'm not supposed to tell people that. Because if I'm sent to go do inspections, I'm going as an independent person. But listen, y'all, I appreciate all the talk with this right here, but at the end of the day, until, like Brad just said, and all the other my constituents and all of my colleagues here, until the person that was in charge of doing the job does the job, we ain't going nowhere. So that's my input with it, and like I say, we've been force-fed with this, but let's come together. We're talking, so let's come together.
Well, thank you, Step, and I know we have some other committees that need to.
Brad, I just want to, Brad, if I can just say a couple things.
Just a couple of minutes, please.
I'll give me 30 seconds. We all have problem tenants. Chad, we had that tenant where he was a hoarder. He put all his stuff, it was a weekend, and you went out there with a bucket truck, you called me and said, what's this? And I went, what's what? And so, I dealt with it immediately because the trash was loose, it was bad. And so we, as landlords, we all have problem tenants. We all have, it's just how we deal with it. And another thing is, if we don't form a committee, just something to keep in mind, there is a registration already for landlords. It's called the Clerk of Court's House. And I'm not saying I'm afraid, but I don't want to put all my rent houses on a farm that becomes public record. Because I don't want everybody to know where my houses are. I don't, if you want to go take the time and go research in the courthouse, fine, you can go look up there. However, I don't want it in some kind of registration that's public record, that somebody can go pay for public record and say, I want all of Tracy Young's rent houses. I want all of Dale's rent houses. I want all of Chuck's rent houses, all of Sammy's rent houses. Because there are some people in town that's what they do. They like to dig up trouble, and that's the main part. But I'll let it go because I know we've talked longer than we should, but I appreciate it. If y'all can, just give thought to what I said. Town hall meeting is great. Just bring a sack lunch because it's going to be a long day.
That was my hesitation of saying we could have a town hall meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I appreciate your comments, and everyone else's. Thank you. All right, with no further business, we will recess.
Thank you, Mr. Core. Let's see, Public Buildings, Alderman Wilridge, please.
If anybody needs to stand up and we take this few minutes right now to Public Buildings convene. We had a quorum on the action items to approve the request of Dr. Zoe Proctor with the National Association of University Women for the City of Crowley to partner with them by donating the use of the MLK Center on August the 8th at 6 p.m. for the Back to School Supply Drive giveaway. Motion carried and I so moved. It was motion by me, second by Mr. Dick J. All in favor? Nay, if you have the same right. Motion carried. Ms. Proctor?
Chairperson Wilrich, and of course our honorable mayor and efficient city council members, our stakeholders and community supporters. I would like to thank the city council for all of the support you have given us with this back to school supply drive giveaway, and we added a seminar to it to help students do well, give them some tips on how they can do well during the school year. Last year, and we want to thank the mayor and many of you city council members who were there. Not only were you present, but you gave $100 or more to help to buy the supplies. And there are some of you on the committee already, city council members, who've given more than $200 already for this activity. I want to thank you for your support. It's not about the National Association of University Women, but it's about our youth in this community. Some parents have 8 children in school, 7, 8 children. And as the years go by, school supplies go up. So this is a way of helping them. Not only do we have the backpack filled with school supplies, but we also have gift cards where they can get some things from Walmart and light refreshments for them. We have our superintendent of schools there for Arcadia Parish. We have many, many principals who are there. We have you who are there. And of course, our mayor has been there from the beginning. Thank you so much for what you've done, and certainly thank you this year for what you will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Proctor. Item number 2, to approve the city of Crowley to co-sponsor the Crowley Boxing Club on August 2nd, 2025 by donating the use of the Rice Festival building on that date. Motion carried. And was motioned by me, was second by Councilman Sam. All in favor? Nays, you have the same right. Motion carried. Any discussion? No.
I just have one. I'm not on.
Yeah, that's Mr. Arthur, and, yeah. It's a great event to go to.
Item number 3, to approve partial payment number 8 for Parks and Pavilion Project to Prestigious Construction Group LLC in the amount of $77,424.05. Motion carried, and I so move. It was second by Savage. All in favor?
Where's the discussion?
Oh,
Do we have the architects?
You will have that paperwork before the meeting next week.
Okay.
Yes, before it's finalized next week,
Okay, with
yes.
that forthcoming, then
Yes.
fine.
in the amount of $77,425. If it was motion by me, second by Sammy. All in favor? Nays, you have the same right. Motion carried. There's no further business to come before public buildings, and we recess.
Thank you, sir. You did much better than Mr. Core, but, I mean, we won't. No. All right, let's see. Alderwoman Marks for Insurance and Personnel, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have a quorum of the Insurance and Personnel Committee, and we convene. There are no reports at this time or action items. I do have some discussion items. Does anyone else have discussion? I just want to remind everyone, you probably received your letter from Mrs. Julie Romero about the 2025 benefit fair to address any health care needs that you might have. Review your letters as to your allotted time. If you need to change that, call Mrs. Romero and she'll help you. And that's about all the discussion I have. Is there any other discussion? If not, then the committee recesses.
What's that? Come on in.
When y'all were talking about the use of the buildings, it made me think, I wanted to make sure to say it on record so everybody can hear with the public too. July 28th, Crowley is having a bake-off. Is that the correct terminology?
Yes.
Second grade through 12th grade. There will be a drop-off at the Rice Festival building at 9 a.m. on that Monday morning. Younger citizens are invited and encouraged to bake cakes, cookies, brownies, and come drop them off, and there will be a competition of sorts. So it'll be a Crowley bake-off. And that, again, that's the Rice Festival building, July 28th. It's a Monday morning that the goods can be dropped off at 9 a.m. Sorry, I forgot about that in my report. When they were talking about the building, I just remembered.
Got it.
All right, thank y'all.
Okay. Community Economic Development, Alderman Reggie, please, sir.
Thank you. I do have Miss Katie is absent, but we do have a quorum and everybody else is present. I am going to start with number 2 on the list. Since they've been waiting forever, I'll get Director Amber Hargrave and Assistant Director Hank Capel to give us an update on the 2025 Main Street activities.
He's here for moral support. We just wanted to give you guys a 6-month kind of report on what Main Street's doing downtown. So for the past 6 months, we've held about 6 events. Some have just been a celebration of our Main Street businesses and all of our volunteers. Others have been a sidewalk sale for our merchants that are businesses downtown. And then a couple of them have been fundraisers for us. And then one was just the sock hop was just a fun downtown event that was 50s themed. So we've also implicated a Love Local and Downtown Crowley campaign, which is a social media campaign. So during Valentine's Day, the public was encouraged to send a love letter to a business or an employee of a business on Main Street. And I believe we had close to 200 entries that we had to hand out pretty much every day. So it was a little busy for us. He likes to say he handed most of them out, but so now our board is actually in the process of, if you haven't seen, we've started filming videos to basically promote each block of Main Street from 500 block all the way to 100 block, and each board member is going to take one side and just kind of give a little, kind of basically a description of what's on that block and what you can look forward to on that block, and then inviting everybody to come down and visit. It's just social media, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that jazz. So for the next 6 months, we have 6 more events that we're hosting. Our next one is July 19th, which is Christmas in July, which is a sidewalk Saturday. We have our big one, which is Kids Day in September. And then we're hosting Haunted History Alive again this year. We look forward to that, and it's pretty much a fighting on who's going to get the tickets, because we do sell out for every event that we host on that. We use 3 tours a year, and graciously Caradore has been volunteering for a few years to put that on, and she does not charge us, so we graciously thank her for that. We are helping out and partnering with the city for some type of Halloween parade in October, being that Witch UA will not be coming back downtown. Majority of our merchants do not want it to come back. So we kind of got our heads together, and it's going to be a golf cart / wagon parade that the public can be involved in. So we're starting to get those things rolling. And then our second to last one is Small Business Saturday, which is a Saturday after Thanksgiving. And then we are hosting Christmas in Crowley again on the first Saturday of December in conjunction with the Crowley Christmas Parade. So that's what's been going on. We also attended Main Street Now in Philadelphia in April, which was a lot of walking for Hank. A lot of walking. And that was a really great conference. We learned a lot, and we brought back a lot of ideas. And then we're going to be attending Destination Downtown in El Dorado, Arkansas in September. So that's our regional conference. So that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all for a great job. It's amazing.
Talk all day long.
We'll be here forever.
All right, thank y'all. I'll start back at the top of the list. City of Crowley Tourism Director, the Red Rice and Blue 4th of July celebration was held at the Acadia Parish Rice Arena from 4 to 10 p.m. Many attending enjoyed musical entertainment and the Anything Over Fries competition. Landmark of Rain took top honors with Beau Petitjean and Acadia Parish Police Jury being named People's Choice winners. And Christmas on the Curb Produce and Artesian Market will be July 19th. Acadia Parish Chamber of Commerce, July 10th, 5 p.m. Third quarter business after hours will be at Rain Building and Loan. Crowley Garden Club is in recess until September. West Crowley Beautification Committee, Dr. Izora Proctor, knows that these members continue to drive with trash bags in their vehicles, so when they see trash in Crowley, they can stop and pick it up immediately. They go to Martin Luther King Park daily to pick up the trash. Yard of the Month was awarded for July, and they're looking for the next location for the month of August. As they go to Crowley meetings and churches, residents are encouraged to clean up around their homes and keep Crowley clean. West Crowley Historic and Cultural District Committee, this group continues to keep the grass cut on a regular basis around the monumental bell on Western Avenue. And the Crowley Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, this group is also in recess until August. I have no action items, and we already took care of the discussion items. Anything else for community and economic? I will recess.
Thank you, sir. Revenue and Finance, Alderman Lachele.
Thank you, Mayor. The Revenue and Finance Committee convenes. We have a quorum present. We have no reports to be given out and going over. We have no action items. We have no discussion items. With nothing further to become the committee recess.
Mr. Lachele, I just want to mention that next week you'll have, I tried for tonight, but it just didn't happen. But I plan to have you all a copy of the proposed budget, which will also be the current budget amendment. Next week, you will be asked to approve a resolution calling for a public hearing at the August meeting to approve the budget in August so that it'll go into effect in September. So I was hopeful to get it to y'all tonight, but the longer you got to look at it, the better you are. But next week before council meeting, although what you'll be voting on next week is simply a resolution to approve a public hearing for the budget in August, and would be approving the budget in August. We can email it, absolutely, absolutely, yes, definitely. Sure thing. And again, any questions, comments, concerns, input? I called Dickie, came and visited with us. Please, focus is, again, on our employees and their salaries is the biggest focus, and as has been. We may have to push back some capital outlays so we can do that, but I think our employees deserve it, and that's what we're working on, a little bit at a time. So, yes, sir. Dickie, that's your thing. Go ahead. Get recessed. Go ahead.
You recessed. I just want to. I didn't say anything in front of Wesley. Wesley does a really good job of taking care of the city. He's got a lot on his hands, and you'll notice that the sides of the road, a lot of people don't cut that grass anymore. Well, there's two things. It's putting a burden on them to have to cut it. And when Albert tells you about mosquito control, there you go, another problem. I've seen
That's right.
so many areas that it's like, I don't know what's going on. I know I can cut my grass. I don't understand.
I'll tell you, and I mentioned that earlier, grass Tall grass is an issue. For some reason, some people feel as though the ditch and the roadside in front of their house is not their responsibility to cut. However, that is absolutely their responsibility to cut. It's called a banquet, and you are supposed to maintain it to the road's edge. There actually has been some certified letters sent out to property owners only because of tall grass in the ditch. The yard was cut, but the ditch was not. And so they actually got certified letters for tall grass. And the only thing that needed to be cut was the ditch. So, code enforcement.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
All right.
Yes.
Mayor, can I say, since
Yes,
you
ma'am.
said the word code enforcement, I know we need a bigger budget. And I noticed in the budget that there is $20,000 that we pay out to put fluoride in our water.
Yes.
And we didn't prevail on the state level to get it out. What can we do to get that into a referendum, to get that out, and then we'll have, and it's more because
Sure.
with the tariffs, it went from $4,500 a
To
pallet to
6,000,
$6,000.
yeah, yes.
And we need to up that to get a viable, certified code enforcement officer.
Right.
I don't know why that was in code enforcement.
Currently, well, I don't
The
know.
budget.
But look, we can put it in code enforcement, or we can put it in street department. Wesley don't like nothing in his budget that he that he can't spend. You're right. But I gotta pick at Wesley all the time. But no, it doesn't matter what budget is in. It's still $20,000 out of the entire budget. But that's some more unfunded mandates. I'll tell you, currently, my plan is to wait until the election next year, where all of our names will probably be on the ballot. I think the cost of adding the fluoridation to that ballot is going to be the most cost effective. So that's the plan right now. If you all want to find an earlier date to put it on the ballot, it's going to cost. What was the last figure?
$28,000.
So $28,000 for us to put it on a previous ballot. I mean, we're trying to save 20 we're going to spend 28 to save 20. You know, so that the current plan is to wait until next year's election. The election.
It's got to be by election. And the reason the costs are so high is because if you have to pay for all the registrars and all the pollsters and everyone. So if you have other elections going on at the same time, those costs are spread out over all those different entities that are holding elections. But if you're the only thing on the ballot, you're bearing that cost yourself.
Yeah, I just couldn't see spending $28,000 to save 20. It didn't.
Was a new figure derived at with the tariffs, with the increase from 45 to 6,000?
I think my understanding is the last time they went to place an order, they only ordered a half of a pallet this last time because hopeful that the state's law would have gone through, but that didn't happen. So they'll end up having to order some more. But yeah, it's just, and I mean, they don't sell that stuff at Walmart, so it's. Your microphone, Mr. Martin.
It's still on the books that it's about to become a federal mandate to take it out. So before we spend any money with that, I'll ask them, that's one of the questions I'll ask them on Thursday.
Yeah,
So I have an idea.
And I think wait until next year's election will help with that. That way we don't do it, and then federally they they come back and do it anyway.